The crystalline spires of Luminara Prime sparkled under the gentle light of its twin suns, their delicate structures reflecting countless rainbow patterns across the capital city's surface. Ambassador Tilara Brightweave adjusted her resonance crystals, their soft chiming helping to calm her nerves as she prepared to address the Council of Elders. The news she carried would shake their society to its very core. "Honored elders," she began, her voice creating subtle harmonic patterns in the chamber's crystal walls. "Our long-range sensors have detected a new species approaching our system. They are—" She hesitated, her crystalline form vibrating with anxiety. "They are Deathworlders." The chamber erupted in discordant frequencies as the elders processed this information. The Silvari, being silicon-based crystalline entities, had evolved on a world of perfect balance. Minimal tectonic activity, stable weather patterns, and precisely regulated temperatures. Their entire civilization was built around harmony and careful preservation of their delicate forms. The very concept of a species surviving on a high-gravity, highly volatile world was almost incomprehensible to them. "These humans, as they call themselves, come from a world they named Earth," Tilara continued, projecting images of the approaching vessels. "Their planet has over 5 times our gravity, experiences regular natural disasters, and hosts thousands of predatory species. By all logic, they should not have survived, let alone achieved spaceflight." Elder Resonant, the head of the council, leaned forward. "Why have they come to our system? Surely not to." The thought of invasion remained unspoken, but the fear harmonics rippled through the chamber. "They claim to come seeking trade and diplomatic relations," Tilara responded. "But there's more. They warn that they are being pursued by a hostile force, the Vorkath Dominion. They seek sanctuary while their ships undergo repairs." The name Vorkath sent shivers through the assembled Silvari. Everyone knew of the silicon-consuming predators who had already devoured 3 civilizations in the galaxy's outer rim. The Silvari had managed to stay hidden from them so far, their system's unusual radiation patterns masking their presence. "We cannot risk drawing the Vorkath to our worlds," Elder Harmonic declared. "We must deny these humans entry and maintain our isolation." Tilara's crystals pulsed with urgent frequencies. "Honored elders, the Vorkath have already detected our system. The humans' arrival is not what revealed us. Rather, they came to warn us. Their long-range scouts detected a Vorkath fleet already en route to our coordinates." The chamber fell silent, a rarity among the naturally resonating Silvari. Elder Resonant's voice, when it came, carried the weight of centuries. "How long do we have?" "The Vorkath will arrive in approximately 30 solar cycles," Tilara replied. "The humans' fleet arrived ahead of them deliberately, to give us time to prepare. They offer their assistance in defending our worlds." "Defend? We have no defenses. We have no weapons." Elder Harmonic's crystals chimed in distress. "Our entire civilization is built on principles of harmony and peace." Tilara activated a holographic display, showing footage from human battles against the Vorkath and other systems. The Silvari watched in amazement as the supposedly primitive Deathworlders executed complex tactical maneuvers, their ships dancing through space with impossible agility. "The humans understand warfare in ways we cannot comprehend," Tilara explained. "They evolved on a world that demanded constant adaptation, constant struggle for survival. What we see as brutal and chaotic, they see as a dance of life and death. They've already fought the Vorkath successfully in 3 other systems." Elder Resonant studied the battle footage carefully. "And they would teach us, help us defend ourselves. They offer full military support and training," Tilara confirmed. "Their ambassador speaks of something they call, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. They believe that by helping us, they weaken the Vorkath's expansion and protect other civilizations." The council chamber filled with complicated harmonic patterns as the elders debated. The Silvari had always feared Deathworlders, believing them to be naturally violent and destructive. Yet here were humans, rushing to warn them of danger, offering protection to a species they had never met. Finally, Elder Resonant rose, his crystal form catching the light in a display of authority. We have always sought to maintain perfect harmony, to avoid conflict at all costs. But perhaps true harmony sometimes requires learning new songs. Tilara Brightweave, send word to the humans. Tell them the Silvari accept their offer of alliance. As Tilara left the chamber, she pondered the irony. Their greatest fear, contact with Deathworlders, might prove to be their salvation. The crystals of Luminara Prime sang with uncertainty, but also with something new, hope. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the observation deck of the Human Silvari Joint Command Center, watching the crystalline beings move through their daily routines. Their bodies caught the starlight, creating cascading patterns that still took her breath away, even after 3 weeks of close contact. Yet she couldn't shake the growing sense of urgency. The Vorkath were coming, and time was precious. They're like diamonds with souls, Lieutenant Rodriguez commented beside her, making notes on his tablet. But honestly, Cap, I don't know how we're going to turn them into fighters. They literally shatter if you tap them too hard. Sarah watched as Tilara Brightweave approached, the Silvari ambassador's form pulsing with what she'd learned to recognize as determination. They don't need to become fighters like us, Miguel. They just need to survive. Tilara's arrival chimes echoed through the chamber. Captain Chen, we've completed the initial survey you requested. Our people are struggling with the concept of weapon installations on our sacred spires. Sarah nodded, understanding the cultural clash at play. Ambassador, I know this goes against everything your people believe in. But the Vorkath don't care about beliefs. They care about feeding. The first warning came not from their long-range sensors, but from the Silvari themselves. Every crystalline being on the planet suddenly resonated at once, their bodies humming with a frequency that made humans' teeth ache. Tilara's form flickered with panic patterns. They're here, she chimed. A scout vessel. We can feel them. Their hunger, their intent. Sarah was already moving, barking orders into her comm unit. All ships, battle stations. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill. The Vorkath scout ship emerged from hyperspace like a nightmare made real, its organic metallic hull covered in sensory tendrils that writhed in space. Even at this distance, its intent was clear. It had found prey. What happened next would forever change how the Silvari viewed their human allies. As the Vorkath vessel launched its first attack probe, the human response was immediate and decisive. 3 Earth ships, seemingly materialized from nowhere, emerged from their hiding spots behind Luminara's moons. Their coordinated attack pattern, practiced countless times over the past weeks, executed flawlessly. Look closely, Sarah told Tilara, who was vibrating with terror. This is why Deathworlders survive. We don't just fight. We plan, we adapt, we overcome. The Vorkath scout, caught off guard by the presence of human warships, attempted to retreat, but Sarah's trap had been carefully laid. A gravitational net, specially designed to disrupt the Vorkath's unique propulsion system, activated between the moons. The scout ship writhed, its tendrils flailing uselessly against the invisible force field. Now, Sarah commanded, show them what harmony can do in war. The Silvari's crystalline defense platforms, disguised as ordinary spires, activated for the first time. Concentrated beams of focused starlight, amplified through precisely grown crystal arrays, lanced out into space. The Vorkath Scout's shields, designed to repel traditional energy weapons, proved useless against the crystalline technology. Tilara watched in amazement as the combined human-Silvari attack reduced the scout to debris. We actually fought back, she chimed in disbelief. You did more than that, Sarah replied, studying the sensor readings. Your crystal weapons just gave us an advantage we never had before. The Vorkath had no defense against your technology. But victory celebrations were short-lived. The scout had managed to transmit a signal before its destruction. Long-range sensors showed the main Vorkath fleet adjusting course, accelerating toward Luminara Prime. "They know we're here now," Sarah said grimly. "And they know we're working together. The real test is coming." Tilera's crystals pulsed with a new frequency. Not fear this time, but determination. "Then we must prepare. Our people are beginning to understand why your species survived its death world. Perhaps we needed some of that strength all along." The next days saw unprecedented cooperation between humans and Salveri. The crystalline beings, initially hesitant to modify their sacred structures for war, now worked tirelessly alongside human engineers. They discovered that their natural ability to grow and shape crystals could be adapted to create weapons more effective against the Vorkath than anything humanity had developed alone. Sarah watched as her crews trained alongside Silveri operators, teaching them combat tactics while learning to understand their allies' unique capabilities. The Silveri's natural resonance gave them almost precognitive abilities in coordinated actions, while their crystalline technology offered offensive capabilities that bypassed traditional defenses. "We were wrong about Deathworlders," Tilera admitted one evening, as they watched another successful training exercise. "We thought your survival meant you were naturally violent, naturally destructive. But now we see, you survived because you never stopped trying, never stopped learning, never stopped helping others survive too." Sarah smiled, remembering her grandfather's words about humanity's greatest strength. "That's the thing about coming from a death world, Ambassador. You learn early that survival isn't just about being the strongest or the most aggressive. It's about being clever, being adaptable, and most importantly, not being alone." The warning beacons pulsed again, signaling another long-range update. The Vorkath fleet was now just days away, and it was massive, far larger than the humans had faced before. But as Sarah looked at the newly fortified crystalline cities, at the combined fleet of human and Silveri ships, she felt something she hadn't expected: optimism. The hunters were coming, yes, but this time, the prey was ready to fight back. The resonance chamber deep within Luminara Prime's central spire hummed with an intensity that made Captain Sarah Chen's bones vibrate. She watched in amazement as hundreds of Silveri synchronized their crystalline forms, creating complex harmonic patterns that rippled through space itself. "We never imagined using the Song of Unity this way," Tilera explained, her own form pulsing in rhythm with the others. "For millennia, it was purely ceremonial, a celebration of life and harmony. Now it was a weapon." Sarah had discovered the potential by accident during a routine sensor sweep. The combined resonance of synchronized Silveri could disrupt Vorkath shield frequencies at a fundamental level. What had once been a peaceful expression of culture had become their greatest defense. "Sometimes the best weapons aren't meant to be weapons at all," Sarah said, remembering how humans had turned simple tools into survival gear on Earth. "Your peaceful nature isn't a weakness. It's just a different kind of strength." The chamber's activity peaked as Elder Resonant led the gathered Silveri through another practice sequence. The resulting harmonic wave was visible even to human eyes, rippling through space like heat distortion. On the training range, a salvaged piece of Vorkath hull technology began to deteriorate under the assault. Lieutenant Rodriguez burst into the chamber, his tablet displaying urgent readings. "Captain, long-range sensors just picked up something new. The Vorkath fleet, they're adapting their approach vector. They're not coming in waves anymore. They're gathering for a single massive assault." Sarah studied the tactical display, her expression grim. The enemy fleet had consolidated into a formation she'd never seen before, a vast spiral pattern that seemed to pulse with malevolent purpose. "They're learning too. They must have analyzed data from the scout ship's destruction." Tilera's crystals flickered with concern. "Can we withstand a concentrated attack?" "We have to," Sarah replied, already formulating new strategies. "But we need to accelerate our preparations. Show me again how your people grow their crystal structures." The next days brought a flurry of activity as humans and Silveri worked to implement Sarah's new plan. The crystalline beings had always used their natural abilities to grow their cities, but now they were creating something entirely different. A vast network of resonance amplifiers that would turn the entire planet into one massive harmonic weapon. Your people evolved on a world that tried to kill you every day, Tilara observed, watching human engineers work alongside Silveri crystal shapers. Yet instead of becoming cruel, you learned to protect others. Sarah helped adjust another amplifier array, her hand steady despite the exhaustion. That's exactly why we help. We know what it's like to face extinction. Earth taught us that survival often depends on working together, on combining different strengths. The breakthrough came during a joint training session. A young Silveri, barely past their first crystallization, discovered that by precisely controlling their resonance frequency, they could not only disrupt Vorkath technology, but actually communicate with it. The organic components of their ships responded to certain harmonic patterns. It's like singing to plants, the young Silveri explained, their form bright with excitement. Their ships are partly alive. They can be soothed, confused, even turned against themselves. Sarah immediately saw the potential. Tilara, gather your best resonance masters. We need to modify our defense plan. The new strategy took shape quickly. Instead of trying to match the Vorkath's overwhelming force, they would turn the enemy's own biotechnology against them. The Silveri's harmonic abilities, amplified by their newly constructed crystal network, would be the key. We were so focused on physical defense, Sarah explained to the Council of Elders, that we almost missed your greatest strength. You don't need to become warriors like us. You need to be exactly who you are, beings of harmony and resonance. Elder resonance form pulsed with understanding. To defeat the hunters, we must sing to them. The final pieces fell into place just as the Vorkath fleet entered the outer system. The combined human-Silveri defense force took up their positions, their strategy unlike anything either species had attempted before. Sarah stood in the central command spire, watching the enemy approach on tactical displays. Beside her, Tilara and a group of resonance masters prepared for the most important performance of their lives. I need to tell you something, Sarah said, turning to her Silveri friend. When we first discovered your people, some of my superiors suggested we should just let the Vorkath take you. One less potential competitor in the galaxy. Tilara's crystals pulsed with surprise. Yet you chose to help us. Because that's not who we are, Sarah replied firmly. Yes, Earth taught us to be strong, to be fierce when necessary. But it also taught us to recognize beauty worth protecting. Your people, your culture. The galaxy would be poorer without you. The alert systems chimed as the Vorkath fleet crossed the system's final defensive line. Thousands of biomechanical ships, moving in perfect, terrible synchronization, bearing down on Luminara Prime. Tilara's form stabilized, her crystals clear and purposeful. Then let us show them what harmony can do in the face of hunger. Let us sing together, human and Silveri, Deathworlder, and crystalline being. Let us show them why life always finds a way to survive. The battle for Luminara Prime was about to begin, and with it, a new chapter in the story of both species. The hunters were coming, but this time, the song of defiance would shake the very stars. The Vorkath fleet emerged from hyperspace like a swarm of metallic locusts, their biomechanical ships pulsing with hungry intent. Captain Sarah Chen felt a chill as the tactical display filled with enemy signatures. There were thousands of them, far more than their initial estimates had suggested. By the eternal song, Tilara's crystalline form vibrated with shock. There are enough ships there to devour 3 worlds. Then it's a good thing they're not fighting just one world anymore, Sarah responded, her voice steady despite the odds. She opened a channel to all defenders. All units, battle stations, remember your training. Remember what we're fighting for. The defense of Luminara Prime began not with weapons fire, but with song. Thousands of Silveri, connected through their crystalline network, began to resonate in perfect harmony. The sound was beautiful and terrible all at once, a symphony of survival that rippled through space itself. The effect on the Vorkath fleet was immediate. Their tight formation began to waver as the organic components of their ships responded to the harmonic assault. Several smaller vessels broke ranks, their biomechanical systems confused by signals they'd never encountered before. "Now," Sarah commanded. Human warships emerged from their hiding places in Luminara's asteroid belt, their weapons already firing. But these weren't ordinary weapons. Each shot was synchronized with the Silveri's resonance frequency, creating devastating combinations of physical and harmonic damage. The Vorkath responded with characteristic brutality. Their larger ships launched waves of hunter-killer drones, each programmed to seek out and destroy the source of the harmonic disruption. But the humans had anticipated this. "Activate the crystal shields," Sarah ordered. The massive crystal arrays that'd grown around Luminara's cities began to pulse with energy, refracting both energy weapons and the harmful frequencies the Vorkath used to disrupt silicon-based life forms. Tilera coordinated the Silveri defense networks, her form blazing with concentrated energy. "The hunters thought we would be easy prey," she chimed, her voice carrying both determination and wonder. "They never imagined we could fight back like this." The battle raged across the Luminara system. Human ships executed complex maneuvers they'd practiced for weeks, drawing Vorkath vessels into carefully prepared kill zones where concentrated harmonic pulses would tear them apart. The Silveri's crystal technology, once used only for art and architecture, now proved its worth in war. But the Vorkath were not the galaxy's apex predators for nothing. They began to adapt, adjusting their bioships' resonance frequencies to resist the harmonic assault. Several managed to break through the outer defense perimeter, their weapons leaving molten scars across Luminara's crystalline surface. "They're learning," Sarah growled, watching as more enemy ships pushed through their defenses. "Tilera, we need something stronger. Can your people handle a full harmonic convergence?" Tilera's crystals pulsed with concern. "It's never been attempted on this scale. The resonance could shatter us all. If we do nothing, the Vorkath will shatter us anyway," Sarah countered. "Sometimes survival means taking risks." The decision was made for them when a massive Vorkath dreadnought emerged from the chaos, its hull bristling with weapons. It was easily twice the size of anything they'd faced before, and its presence sent waves of terror through the Silveri defenders. "All Silveri, listen carefully," Sarah broadcast across all frequencies. "What you fear doing is exactly what will save you. Your harmony, your unity. It's not just your culture, it's your strength. Show them what happens when a peaceful people choose to stand and fight." The response from the Silveri was beyond anything Sarah had dared to hope for. Every crystalline being on and around Luminara Prime joined in a single, perfect resonance. The harmonic wave that resulted was visible to the naked eye, a rippling cascade of energy that spread out from the planet like a shockwave. The effect on the Vorkath fleet was catastrophic. Their biomechanical ships, already stressed by the previous harmonic attacks, began to tear themselves apart. The massive dreadnought shuddered as its organic components rebelled against its mechanical systems. "Keep pushing," Sarah urged, even as warning lights flashed across her command console. The harmonic convergence was so powerful it was affecting human ships too. "Just a little longer." Tilera's form was nearly transparent with the effort of maintaining the resonance, but her voice rang clear. "For too long, we feared the strength of others. We forgot that we had strength of our own. No more." The harmonic wave reached its peak, and in that moment, the battle's outcome was decided. The Vorkath dreadnought, pride of their hunter fleet, broke apart in a spectacular display of light and energy. Its destruction triggered a chain reaction among the smaller ships still linked to its command network. Sarah watched in awe as the mighty Vorkath fleet, terror of countless civilizations, dissolved into chaos. Some ships fled, their organic components driven mad by the harmonic assault. Others simply stopped functioning, their hybrid systems fatally disrupted by the Silveri song. As the dust settled and the survivors regrouped, Sarah turned to Tilera, who was slowly regaining her normal crystalline opacity. "You did it. Your people found their warrior's voice." Tulara's form pulsed with exhaustion but also pride. "No, Captain. We found our own voice. The voice that says even the most peaceful beings will fight when they must. Not with violence, but with the very essence of who they are." The battle was won, but both humans and Silveri knew this was just the beginning. The Vorkath would return, probably with new defenses against harmonic weapons. But they would find a changed Luminara Prime waiting for them. A world where crystalline beings had learned to turn their greatest cultural strength into a shield for their civilization, and where the partnership between Dithworlders and Peace Singers had created something entirely new in the galaxy. The crystalline spires of Luminara Prime caught the twin suns' light differently now. Battle scars had been transformed into prismatic arrays, their fractured surfaces telling the story of survival in rainbow refractions. 1 month after the Great Stand, as the Silveri had taken to calling it, Captain Sarah Chen stood in the Grand Harmony Chamber, watching her allies rebuild. "It's remarkable," she mused, observing a group of Silveri using their resonance to repair a damaged crystal tower. "You've turned your battle scars into art." Tulara, her crystalline form now bearing subtle new patterns from the harmonic convergence, chimed softly. "We learned that from you, in a way. Humans don't just survive hardship, you transform it into strength." The chamber filled with other representatives from both species. The Galactic Council had called an emergency session to discuss the implications of the Vorkath's defeat. No one had ever driven back a full hunter fleet before, and the ripples were spreading across known space. Elder Resonant's voice carried through the chamber, harmonizing with the architectural crystals. "For millennia, we feared the Deathworlders. We saw their strength as brutality, their resilience as aggression. We were wrong." His form turned toward the assembled humans. "You showed us that true strength lies not in the ability to destroy, but in the will to protect." Sarah stepped forward, her dress uniform adorned with a new medallion, a crystal shard that pulsed in harmony with the Silveri's natural resonance. "And you showed us that there are ways to fight that don't require sacrificing who you are. The galaxy called you fragile, but you turned your very nature into a shield for all of us." The news from across the galaxy had been pouring in. The Vorkath, their reputation for invincibility shattered, faced growing resistance everywhere. Other silicon-based species, inspired by the Silveri's victory, were developing their own harmonic defenses. Even the Cinderella Confederation, which had dismissed the Silveri as too primitive for membership, was now sending diplomatic overtures. "We're receiving requests from 17 different worlds for joint defense treaties," Tulara reported, her crystals flickering with amused frequencies. "Apparently, an alliance between Deathworlders and Crystal Singers is quite attractive to potential allies." But the most profound changes were visible in the Silveri themselves. Their cities, once built purely for aesthetic harmony, now incorporated defensive resonance arrays seamlessly into their architecture. Young Silveri studied both traditional crystal singing and tactical applications of harmonic convergence. They have found a way to embrace protection without sacrificing peace. "You know," Sarah said, watching a group of human engineers working alongside Silveri crystal shapers on a new defensive installation. "Back on Earth, there's an old saying, the strongest steel is forged in the hottest fire." Tulara's form pulsed with understanding. "And the clearest crystals form under the greatest pressure. Perhaps that is why our peoples found such strength together. We each saw in the other what we thought we lacked in ourselves." The chamber's acoustics carried their conversation to every corner, where humans and Silveri worked together on projects that would have seemed impossible just months ago. The humans' practical experience with survival complemented the Silveri's mastery of harmony, creating innovations that neither species could have achieved alone. "The Vorkath will return," Elder Resonant noted, his tone carrying not fear but determination. "They are adapting even now, learning from their defeat." "Let them come," Sarah replied, her voice firm. "They'll find both our peoples stronger. The Silveri have learned to fight without losing their grace, And we humans, she smiled, touching the resonating crystal at her throat. We've learned that sometimes the strongest weapon is a song. As if in response, a young Silveri began to sing, their crystalline form emanating pure notes that spoke of both beauty and strength. Others joined in, their harmonies building into a symphony that humans could not only hear but feel in their bones. It was no longer just a song of peace. It was a declaration that peace must sometimes be protected. The Great Stand had changed more than just the balance of power in the galaxy. It had proven that strength came in many forms, that the most unlikely allies could become the strongest partners, and that even the most peaceful beings could find their warrior's voice without losing their essential nature. As the sun set on Luminara Prime, casting prismatic lights through the battle-scarred spires, human and Silveri alike knew they had written a new chapter in the story of both their species. The Deathworlders had learned grace from the Crystal Singers, and the peaceful had learned courage from the warriors. Together, they had created something unprecedented, a harmony that could shake the stars themselves. "You know what the best part is," Sarah said to Tilara as they watched the double sunset. The Vorkath thought they were hunting easy prey. Instead, they helped forge the strongest alliance the galaxy has ever seen. Tilara's crystals chimed with what Sarah had learned to recognize as laughter. Indeed, perhaps that is the greatest irony. In trying to devour us, they only made us stronger, not through fear or hatred, but through understanding and unity. The crystalline spires of Luminara Prime sang their eternal songs into the night, but now they carried a new melody, one of strength and peace, of unity and diversity, and of the remarkable things that could happen when Deathworlders and Peace Singers learned to harmonize together.